Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator's mods, tools, and add-ons. It's been a minute since we've done one of these, but there's some really cool additions and updates that I think you guys will really enjoy today. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. All right, so the first one is a tool that I actually found to be rather interesting. I actually really enjoyed this one, and it definitely does sort of take the guessing out of what you want to do today when you fly. It is a tool that provides you with suggestions based on your scenery and the scan directories that you have, or your community folder, and the different add-ons that you have inside of it, as well as the ability to export flight routes and all kinds of other different stuff. Now, we're going to be showing this off on the channel in a couple of days here. I just actually started diving into this one today, but was really thoroughly impressed with just the basis right off the bat from it and what it does and how it functions. I really recommend you guys give this a shot. It's sort of another one of those opportunities that gives you or puts you in a position to fly to and from places that you may never have thought to do before, and check out some of the really amazing scenery and locations in the world. And that is probably the biggest benefit that we have from Microsoft Flight Simulator, is having that photogrammetry and that true to life satellite imagery for most of the globe. Tools like these really do change it. Even if you've been on the fence with it, I promise you, give this one a shot. This one is really cool. It gives you a ton of information about the departure and arrival locations. And again, it gives you the ability to plot flight routes and much, much more. I'm going to go ahead and throw the feature list right here. Make sure that you guys pause the screen at this point. I would highly recommend at least reading through it, see if it piques your interest. This is what grabbed mine, was the feature list. As I was reading through it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what this one's all about. And so far, I've had very limited experience with it, but so far I truly like it. There's even some compatibility with Addons linker. So if that's something that you guys want to be putting into consideration as well, you do have that feature available. So anyway, great work to the developer from the little bit that I've seen so far of it. I look forward to diving in even deeper and seeing all of its functions in action. And once I do, we'll be bringing it to the channel live so you guys can see it in action. But I've already seen enough that I would definitely wanted to give this a recommendation. This is one that I have shown on the channel multiple times. It is called New Light, and what it does is enhances or replaces much of the default aircraft, or even the add-on aircraft's, default lighting system. Much of the default Microsoft Flight Simulator taxi lights, external lights, etc., even some of the internal lights, are very washed out. They don't look right. Your field of view is wrong. The illumination is wrong. A lot of times the color of them is wrong. And this add-on enhances greatly all of the aforementioned categories of the lighting systems. There are a ton of aircraft that are currently included with this particular package. I mean, you have a ton. I'm going to do my best to sort of scroll forward here, and you guys can even see links to the different add-ons that are applied to it as well below. But there are many aircraft that now include this by default. And it really changes the game, guys. Like, I think that's why I keep bringing it back to the channel, is you just don't realize how much of a difference it makes until you try it. You think, they're just lights, who cares, I can get past that. But once you put the mod in, you take that time and you're just like, all right, I'll give it a shot. You immediately notice it. And then where it really kicks you is when you go to an aircraft that doesn't have the add-on after being a part of this. So doing an aircraft that has the new light add-on and then moving to one that does not, going back to default, you will notice the difference right away and you'll miss the new light add-on. I highly recommend this one. It's been one that the developer has just kept up on as time has gone on. I cannot even remember. Let's see here. When did this one first come to? Yeah, April of 2021. That's probably about how long I've been covering this one. It is a really fantastic addition and really makes it quite spectacular. when it comes to the night flying. And I will give you guys one more tip. One of the people who will really benefit from this one is VR users. It really cleans up the lighting system in VR at night and makes things quite a bit different and easier on the old eyeballs. So anyway, let's move on. Another one I have been following again and again and again, and I need to fly out of here more because it's funny. I always keep up with this add-on. I'm always at the latest version, and yet I always forget to fly out of there when it comes time to fly. But Gatwick Airport, Echo Golf Kilo Kilo, this add-on is so intense. Like, I don't even know how to break it all down, guys. Everything, it's like I feel like they've gotten to the point where they're probably running out of things to adjust on it at this point. This airport is so realistic and so up to date and so accurate and so well drawn. I mean, these pictures are just beautiful, absolutely beautifully done. Yeah, I mean, the pictures speak for themselves. I challenge you guys to go to Gatwick in the default scenery, load this add-on, and here's the big one too. They even updated the stands. So go to the default, then load the add-on, and fly with the add-on, and you'll never want to come back to the default. It is spectacular work, just beautifully. I can't even imagine how much time they have in developing this particular scenery. This is another one that's been tracking for a very long time. There we go, about a year and a half now, a little over. And it is beautiful, guys. And I remember when it first came out, it had a pretty significant FPS hit, and somehow they even ironed that out. It really does. Just, yeah, you guys have to see it. Give it a shot. Especially commercial pilots, I think you'll appreciate it the most. But even general aviation, I have flown out of there. It's a beautiful, beautiful scenery. And again, this is another one. I think the reason why I keep bringing it up is because the developers stay on top of it. They're just constantly pushing out updates to it, fixes to it, smoothing things out. Like I said, the FPS hit that used to exist, I don't even think is there anymore. Like, check this one out. This is another one that I wanted to show off. All the taxiway signs and roadmap signs have been adjusted and recreated. I mean, just no stone is unturned at this airport. Absolutely fabulous. So anyway, I will I'll quit rambling and repeating myself, but this is probably the best done scenery currently in the simulator. Next up on our list here is a blast from the past, the Salty 747 8 mega pack. This is absolutely awesome. The Salty 747 enhancement was something that's been around for quite a long time. But this new mega pack seems like it sort of brings multiple different variations of it and brings them together and back to Flight Sim 2. For the longest time, I could only track this on the excuse me, on the GitHub page, but it looks like that has now been adjusted and changed. So just a few of the major highlighted features. I can tell you there's quite a bit more to it than this, but some of the major highlighted: texture improvements, wing flex, new flight model, that's a big one, improved IRS, another big one, new engine animations, the freighter and variant and model are now separated in the menus, that's definitely awesome, and the custom light effects. I think it's actually using the new light, but I could be mistaken on it. And then it comes with a bunch of different liveries that are included with this particular package. Now, this thing is a major enhancement to the 747. I don't know how many of you have actually given the 747 a shot, but the default version was bad. Let's just leave it at that. It was not a good experience at all for anyone that I know. And the Salties, team came up and decided to, try to work on it, and they've really made a massive difference. And when I saw this one today, I was super excited because I love the 747. There is something about the 747 that I think many aviation enthusiasts are going to agree that we're going to miss seeing that bird in the sky. I've only seen it a handful of times because they don't fly into Tucson very often. But every time I go to Phoenix or LA, every time I'm at a larger airport, an international airport or a hub, that's what I'm watching for. Even as cool as the A380 is, there's just something about the old Queen of the Skies that, she's just a cool looking plane, man. And so I was really excited when get to fly her in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it was a real drag. This Salty's add-on is the reason why I made a tutorial PDF guide on the 747. It's because it finally brought the aircraft at least to a point where it's worth it to do so, and it sounds like that that experience has even been further enhanced. So we will definitely be flying the 747 this week on the channel. Maybe we'll do a live stream with it so we can test it out together. We'll see how it all goes. But at the very least, you'll definitely see a recording of the 747 back in flight again. Actually, it's funny too because the screenshot they're using there of the UPS livery, that's probably my favorite one. There's just something about it. I think it looks cool. But anyways, if you guys are 747 enthusiasts and you haven't been particularly happy with the default 747, download this add-on, get it installed, and go fly your Queen, because I promise you'll enjoy it. It's a really nice experience given Salty's add-on. So to the developer of this one here, and I love the shout out to everybody. It looks like they're affiliated with Salty Simulations. Make sure you guys give them some good credit for this one, because they really turned a mess into a clean bird. If you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you guys know that I actually fly to Los Angeles quite frequently. I don't know why. It's just there's something that always takes me back to LA whenever I want to fly into one of the bigger cities. I don't know if it's just I'm used to it. You know, I've gone to California quite a few times. I'm not sure. But there is something that absolutely keeps bringing me back to it. And this is one of the best scenery enhancements for Los Angeles that I have come across in my travels, in my simulation travels, if you will. They've done a really good job of fixing downtown. Downtown was very washed out. It had a lot of, the overgrowth that we see, with the trees, being on top of buildings and rooftops and things like that. It was pretty bad. And this add-on does a great job about cleaning up downtown Los Angeles. You get the Hollywood sign put back together, where it doesn't look all washed out and nasty. They really did a great job with this, and it really enhances the scenery. I don't normally do scenery add-ons on the channel, and typically because there is so many of them. But again, this is another one that I've been tracking for quite a long time. I've used it for a long time. Again, these developers, there's a lot of them that just stay on top of it and just keep adding, keep cleaning it up. And so I wanted to make sure to give them a shout out as I could. If you enjoy Los Angeles, this is definitely a good one to have. There doesn't seem to be any frame rate hit that I've ever noticed on it, aside from Los Angeles in general just causing a frame rate hit, much like flying over New York. The bigger cities, you're going to take some impact, but from the add-on without the add-on, I haven't noticed any difference. So if you enjoy it and you want to see a nice clean downtown LA, this is definitely the way to go. This is another aircraft that has hit the channel multiple times, and this is another developer who just continues to kick tail and turn names, and you know what the phrase is. I just can't say it correctly on the channel. At least I try not to. But the Da62 Improvement mod. This is another aircraft that was default with Microsoft Flight Simulator that this developer took over, and as well as the Da40 took over and just completely redid them. I mean, they're basically brand new aircraft. They're basically completely rebuilt. I mean, if you were to go through all of these 26 items in the change logs, you guys would see nothing but change after change after change after update after update. I mean, he just beats the living junk out of this thing and has really done a fantastic job turning this aircraft into something that's just quite phenomenal. I mean, definitely of payware quality, and another payware quality aircraft that is completely free. So make sure you guys check this out. If you enjoy the Da40 or the Da62 or are interested in these types of aircraft, I mean, this is a really cool plane. It's fast, it's fun, it's responsive. The flight model is beautiful. And again, from not being a pilot, what I mean by that, I know people always wonder, well, how do you say that if you don't fly it? I just mean that it doesn't feel like you're playing a game. It's smooth, it reacts well, you can feel the environmental effects. That's the best I can put out. It's not boring to fly. It is a really, really well done aircraft and really, really well done add-on. I can't imagine the effort and time that has been dumped into this aircraft. I mean, I would say this is the general aviation quality in comparison to Flybywire. It is a beast. It is completely rebuilt from the ground up at this point, is what I would call it. You guys would really enjoy it. If you like GA aircraft, and especially twin engine aircraft, give this one a shot, because it's a hoot. It's definitely another one that we have to bring back to the channel and I forget about. So anyway, Make sure you guys support the developer if you can. Download the add-on. Let me know in the comments what you feel and think about it, as always. Speaking of aircraft being turned upside down, I checked this one out a long time ago and haven't really flown it since. I remember I was very, very happy with it. I had flown this aircraft when it was first launched in Microsoft Flight Simulator because I'd never seen it, messed around with it. It wasn't really much to write home about. Didn't feel like much. Sort of, typical, first release default style aircraft. And with the last update, it felt significantly different. It was cool. I had a good time. But I want to show you guys something. This is another reason why I keep bringing some of these aircraft back to the channel. If you're interested into an amphibious aircraft with multi-role, you can do ground or sea. Look at this latest changelog. Ready for this? Look at that. Feel free to pause the screen and read through it because you're going to be there a minute. This is another perfect example of extreme dedication to truly enhancing and overturning your flight simulation experience. We're going to be flying a lot of these aircraft this week, guys. We're going to bring this one back. We're going to be bringing the Da62, the 747. These aircraft are coming back to the channel, so you guys at least will get my opinions of them. Again, not having any real-world experience with the aircraft, I can at least tell you what it's like from a simulation standpoint. But again, another developer that has completely turned this aircraft upside down, shook all the bolts out of it, and put it back together his way. And it's really, really quite phenomenal, really amazing. I briefly downloaded it, threw it in, see if there was anything that was noticeable right away, and it was very clear to me that I need to slow the hell down and learn how to fly the aircraft, and that's why we're not doing a video on it today, because there's a lot that's changed. But anyway, another very, very cool aircraft. The scenery from the cockpit is actually a ton of fun, and I really enjoy the water landings with it because you're so low to it. I mean, it feels like you could stick your hand out and touch the water. And it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a good one to fly over, areas like the Caribbean and things like that, where you have a lot of island hopping. I would definitely recommend this. If you're interested in this aircraft, have even looked at it in your menu a few times, went, maybe one day, download this first and then fly it. And I think you'll be really, really impressed. Luke Air Tool is another add-on that we have discussed a few times here on the channel, and I wanted to make sure to bring it back because it is another one of those add-on tools that does a ton, both for immersion and just plain functionality. Everything from audio announcements to map tracking. I'm gonna let you guys actually just take a screenshot or, pause it, whatever, and just sort of take a look at what you have available here. But it really wraps a ton of features into one very unique and very, very awesome and well done application. It integrates with SimBrief. It does require some use of FSUIPC7 depending on what features you are trying to use. Not all of it, but I do know much of the functionality does depend on it. But it does a lot for the immersion aspect as far as giving you a ton of different auditorial enhancements such as safety announcements, descent announcements, passenger noise in the background. I would say it definitely shines the most with commercial aircraft, but it definitely is not limited to commercial aircraft. I would not say that in the least, so please do not mistake my words on that. I would just simply say from an immersion standpoint, the commercial aircraft definitely, I think, see the most benefit from it. But as far as functionality goes, I mean, you guys are seeing it right here on the screen. That's a weather radar right there. So you get a ton of different information and a ton of different configuration options that you can use it for. I will say that in my previous experiences with it, the learning curve, I wouldn't say is difficult, but you take your time. Give yourself a chance to really dive in deep. And I will also say that I have been on their Discord before and they're very helpful. There's a lot of people who are definitely willing to help answer questions. But its functionality is fantastic. And I think the only reason why I don't bring it to the channel as often as I used to when I first started is just because it takes a lot already to set up a lot of these videos, for recording and things. And then so sometimes this stuff can just be a little bit on the adding it to the list, but definitely you're going to have to, something that we're going to have to bring back because, again, take a look at some of these change logs here. These obviously aren't the most recent, but coming up even to the most recent one, you guys can see some of the functionality that was lost has been previously restored. Some new settings and tweaks are now available. And again, just continued work under the hood. So this is another application that just continues to build and build and build. I do believe there are some payware features that are an option within it. So I don't know that everything with it was free, but I do know that the majority of it is. I would say 90% of its functionality. And for all I know, but at this point, maybe all of it is. I don't remember. But I definitely, if you guys are looking for something that's sort of an all-in-one EFB immersion auditorial enhancement software, give this one a shot, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with its capabilities. This was an app that sort of caught me by surprise, and we are going to be doing a little bit more with this one. I found it a little bit difficult for me to do a video on it in particular because of I actually don't fly a lot of aircraft that have a lot of these pop-up screens available, as I was finding out. But there are a bunch of aircraft that you can now use this pop-up tool. And what it is a pop-up tool manager, meaning that you create a configuration file. So let's say that you fly, I guess the example here, I think that's the Kodiak. Let's say you're flying the same aircraft, and every time or not the same aircraft, but every time you want to fly aircraft A, you want your pop-up panels out in the same location. This software will store that location, so that way when you launch the aircraft and you select your profile in the pop-up manager, those pop-up windows that you like to have in the very specific spot will automatically return to those locations. You don't have to manually set them up every single time. I messed around with it a little bit a couple of weeks ago at the recommendation of one of our viewers, and I just haven't had a chance to get back to it. But it has some extreme potential for us. I think my biggest issue, like I said, is what I was finding is it doesn't always work the best when it comes to add-ons that I have found. For example, my TBM 930, it didn't particularly care for, but I also had the improvement mod installed. So I'm guessing that was probably likely a culprit to why I was having limited success. But I do want to make sure that you guys were aware of this. Again, as we continue to support these kind of developers, is what increases their motivation, just like you guys are my motivation to keep doing what I do. So I definitely want to put this in the spotlight because it does work. I've absolutely tested and seen it in action. It absolutely does work. I think it's just a matter of getting it to work a bit more fine-tuned with some of the other aircraft. But it is really, really cool the way that you can draw this one out. And give this one a shot if you're someone who uses the pop-up window feature very often. I don't use it as often, and I think that's why maybe I was having a bit of trouble with it. But I know a lot of people who are very dependent on the pop-up windows, and we're very happy to see them. So much of my flying is done, and I record so much of it that I don't really use the pop-up windows, because in Microsoft Flight Simulator, for example, with OBS, if I hit a pop-up window, that pop-up window is all you guys are going to see on the window. I actually lose the simulator image, so I don't use them very often. Almost every time I fly, I'm recording or streaming or something of that nature. But the little bit that I tested it offline, like I said, it's a very slick program. I was able to close the aircraft, go back to the main menu, came back to the aircraft, launched my profile in Pop-Up Manager, and those pop-up screens went right back to where they were before. So there's a lot of benefit to you guys who use multiple monitors and have dedicated screens for your MFDs, PFDs, etc. So just something to think about. I wanted to make sure this one hit the channel. This is another really cool one that I had a kick with the other day using American Airlines. So all it is at the moment that I can catch is safety announcements, right, as you're doing your pushback. And then they've got the selection of aircraft is relatively limited at the moment, but very clearly growing at a pretty good rate. But I did a flight with American Airlines the other day, and actually if you guys will go back and watch my most recent A320 video, you'll hear it during the pushback. The safety announcement was actually really cool. It added quite a bit. And again, it's a simple add-on. It doesn't do a ton. It just, creates announcements. And again, it's going to go back to what kind of immersion are you looking for from your flight simulation experience. And he's got quite a diversity of announcements from companies around the world. So for example, you have everything from Air France, British Airways, United, Vueling. I think there was Air China. There was a couple other ones that I saw. American Airlines was in there. Obviously, that's what I used on my most recent flight. No Southwest yet. Hopefully soon. But again, I love these kind of add-ons, so I will always show these ones off. There's something about the announcements and the different chatter and the different sounds that you'll hear, the descent alerts and things like that. I love those kind of add-ons. They really do add something, even to me as the recorder and the content creator and the one pushing the button to make it do it. I love it. As soon as I do it and I start hearing it, it's like, yep, Yep, you know, Captain, you can hear, you know, your message going on. I love starting the engines and, you know, doing my wing views while those announcements are playing. It's just really cool. So if you're like me and a total geek like that, then by all means check this one out because I think you'll like it. The recordings are very well done. The ability to cycle through the different announcements is very, very easy to handle and very easy to manage. The quality of the audio is just spot on, like it's, you know, like you're hearing it real time. So really well done, really well done. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that this one was out there. Finally, the last one on the list, I wanted to make sure to shout out right away. This is great for any of you who have a touchscreen. And when I say a touchscreen, that could be your cell phone. That could be an Android or iOS tablet. That could be a touch monitor, maybe, or, one of those old Chromebooks. The list is endless because it can broadcast to any Wi-Fi or Ethernet connected device or second monitor, however you want to do it. So it uses the program Touch Portal. Now, from what I can tell, in order to take advantage of the Touch Portal program, you have to buy the pro version of Touch Portal, which is $13 US. Okay, and then from there you have access to the plugins and you have access to, I think it's 110 different buttons on any given screen. But take a look at this very awesome plugin, okay, and what it offers. We have everything from data readout, that's engine RPMs that you guys are looking at there, ground speed, throttle percentage. We have, there you go, this is a good one. This is one that I want to show you guys, okay? Trim, not only do you have the buttons, but you actually have your current trim settings, sim rate, all these things. Okay, I have an Android tablet that is on a flexible mount that is sitting right next to me. And this little app is about to become my new best friend. You guys are definitely going to see more of this as I get to test it. I just found it today, just getting started on it today, so I don't have any further information other than that. But I mean, this is so how you would use your throttles is just by sliding your finger. So I want you to think about if you're someone who's very limited on control space, if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a ton of money and you really want to get into flight simulation or, like I said, I think the biggest thing would be, whether it be financial or just the lack of space for a whole bunch of different controls, buttons, switches, knobs. These are the kind of applications that you want to seek. I have used a couple others in the past, especially for things like DCS World, and they are great. A lot of them are very, very customizable. You can set them up the way you like. And then like this one here, it comes right out of the gate, very feature rich. I mean, from what I can tell as I was scrolling through the different screenshots earlier, this thing has just about everything in the cockpit. Just about every darn thing in the cockpit that you could possibly need. And so again, if you want that experience without, my thing about flight simulation, the reason why I'm always bringing this kind of stuff up is it's not so much about what cool controls do you have. Do you have all the Bravo throttle quadrants and the flight sticks and the yokes and the switches and the buttons? My thing is, do you have to reach for the mouse? I think the mouse is the number one killer of any simulator. Racing sims, truck sims, flight simulation sims. I don't think it matters. I think anytime you have to reach for that damn mouse, that's where you lose the immersion. I think touch screens are perfectly fine. I mean, hell, look at the aircraft today. Look at where they're headed. So many of them are touch screen input. You got your G5000 suites that are all touch screen. The G3000's touch screen. That we see in the TBM 930 or something like the Longitude. We're already heading that way. So you could very easily maintain a ton of that immersion realism with a touch screen, depending on the aircraft you're flying. Now, certain times, you'll notice it. You'll be like, oh, well, I wish there was a button there. But, it doesn't take much to bring you back in. Where for me, at least, every time I reach for that dang mouse, that's it. It's just like, oh, yeah, here we are. And I can't tell you how many landings or takeoffs or taxis the darn mouse has ruined for me. So, anyway, I wanted to point this one out. This one looks very, very promising. There's a ton of information already available in it. It looks like it just launched yesterday. Again, I downloaded and purchased the software today, so I'll be working on that this evening after this video is done. We'll be testing it out, seeing what it's like. Once I am convinced that it's functional and get an idea of what the end user experience is like, we'll be doing a video on it, and I'll go further into the setup process and overall functionality of it. But anyways, guys, There was quite a bit today. I know there was quite a bit on the plate this afternoon. I really hope that you guys are enjoying these videos. I know I haven't done the add-ons one in quite a while. I really do try not to sound like a broken record. That's why I was taking a break from them, sort of, waiting for ones that really popped out. And the ones I did today, even though a lot of them were historically done on the channel, have been updated and are, in my opinion, were definitely worth bringing back. I hope you guys enjoy the new ones. As always, links will be down in the description to every one of these, so make sure you guys check the ones out that you guys are interested in. As always, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you, you know when.